you see what he looks like, you can take a picture and look at all the recent criminals, in the IPS, and maybe you'll find them, maybe by face you'll be able to say, oh yeah, he's this guy. So it connecting again. The IPS is like all these photographs in a database that can be easily looked at and scanned, and very available to law enforcement personnel. Using palm prints as well as fingerprints, that's being added to. I mean, sometimes a person can put his palm on a table and not the fingerprints. We can't get the fingerprints, but get the palm prints. So we're adding that to the NGI. There will be a new fingerprint matching identification algorithm that'll match, remember, all the minutia and the distance between them. So the one that they're using is more 99% precise or 99% accurate as opposed to 92%, which is good. But again, we are getting 99%, which gives us a lot more confidence. And it'll also presumably give us fewer matches, so it'll be less time before we can identify and prove the guilt or exonerate the innocent of the person in question. What is not used are the inking. We use a mobile fingerprint scanner that is digitized. You put your finger on it, it will immediately identify where the ridges are and put it into a computer system. It'll digitize the data immediately, and they can find the minutia. A computer can find the minutia, maybe not all of them, maybe not as well as a person, but it'll immediately be able to identify it and send this out, if requested, to the entire database, the AFIS database. Or sorry, the IAFIS database, or the FIS, the Fingerprint Identification System database. So this can be done for terrorists or anyone with outstanding warrants. Get a fingerprint of the suspect, or get someone who might have some warrant, outstanding warrant, whatever it might be. Get their fingerprint compared to whatever's in the database, so we'll know who we're dealing with. And not only that, we might actually realize that that person in the database whose identity we didn't know, we picked up this fingerprint at a crime scene. We don't know who it is, and now you've got someone who you know has an outstanding warrant or is a terrorist. You can match it with these unknown ones and realize that that crime was done by this person that we just measured, that we just got a fingerprint with. These are fingerprints. We can do a lot with them, but this is mobile and instantly digitized, so it can be immediately put through the database to identify it. By the way, it's called the Repository of Individual Special Concern, the RISC. That's the database of database with fingerprints and whatever else we have to identify them. So the idea is that the law enforcement personnel, that whenever they get someone in custody, and what they do is they use this mobile digital fingerprint scanner. It goes into this repository and it scan. It's compared to whatever's in this RISC, the repository of individuals of special concern, and you might find that this guy is a homegrown terrorist, whose town is the one that you just captured him in, and you should know that this guy has a lot of friends in town, and you might want to beef up the security, so you'll know what you're dealing with when you pick up the person. So that's the idea of the RISC. So they'll be the police or the law enforcement, whatever it might be, they'll know who they're dealing with as soon as possible. So a little bit of a summary. You should know how biometrics are used. The physiological and behavioral biometrics. How they're used to identify people. The enrollment, the feature extract, the 4 parts of it. Iris scans versus retinal scans. They are a very important form of biometrics that are being used and used well these days. Iris scans are, again, the way of the future. But anyway, you should know about facial recognition, the ideas behind it, and also that you match the pictures to those on file. And with the biometrics, you can actually identify people who are on file. There are problems. You should know what the problems are, and also know about the NGI and what it's doing. For those with a book, here are homework problems that you can use to practice and to see how well you know the information that you may have picked up.